and how after countless days, nights, and hours all turned into months of hard work and dedication, the horse known as Summer would be sold against Avavian's wishes and then miraculously found more than 12 years later.
I was born here at this farm. We bred her to a guy's stallion in Jackson. And when she was born, of course, she was born with this problem here. And nobody seemed to think that that was correctable. I contacted UK because I wanted to see if there was a mineral deficiency or what caused her to be born this way. UK wouldn't take her. They sent Russell Sparks out here to videotape her. He did, sent the tape back to the equine place in Lexington, and they said, no, put her down. So he brought a voucher out for me to sign that they would pay the vet bills if I would agree for someone to come out and put her down. And I said, no. I told Russell I would not put her down. David Fugit had just gotten out of vet school, and he was eager to try to learn stuff and to help people, and he came out, him and his assistant, Tommy Vest. And when they came up with the way to do PVC pipe to make her a set of legs to where she could try to learn to stand on them, which consisted of a lot of work. Every day those had to be changed and taken off, and her feet had to be exercised. Her hoof began to rot, and over the years she finally learned to stand. It took several months of her wearing them casts, and she learned to nurse by standing on them. And then finally she learned to actually get out to where she could walk around on them. But of course she broke them, and we had to get thicker PVC pipe for her. And eventually then she learned to do her thing on them, and she learned to stand. And after about 5 months then, this is what developed with a lot of work and a lot of patience by David Fugit. That's her at 5 months old. She was able to stand, her legs were straight, she didn't need cast or anything.
As for Dr. David Fugit, he admits he was green, and he recalls thinking to himself that if UK and the likes of which can help Summer, then there's really no reason to think I can.
But on the other hand, you know, anytime somebody says, well, you can't, well, my first reaction is, well, boy, I sure like to try, you know. But when we looked at it, that foal had no support mechanism on the back of her legs. Her extensor tendons weren't formed right. And I couldn't find anything in the literature. May get a little urine on, sir, that's all right. I couldn't find anything in the literature on how to fix that. So we just did what I thought was common sense. Let's put a brace on them. Let's support her. If Avavian will do the elbow work, and she did, obviously, you know, most people wouldn't have done that. Yeah. It'd be that diligent with it to do it that long a period of time. And it you know, it worked. I don't take any credit for that. It was Avavian and the good Lord that fixed it. The braces played a little part in it, but, you know, Avavian did all the hard work in it. It was really just one of those things that it was meant to be, I feel like. And then for her to, you know, when a horse leaves your property, unless it goes to your next door neighbor and they're good friends and are able to tell you what they did with it, man, your chances of finding a horse that left your property, you know, outside of a registered animal, you know, a thoroughbred or something you could track down, but just a good country saddle horse, once it leaves your property, it's hard to keep tabs on it.
Dr. Fugit's exactly right. At 14 months old, Avavian says Summer was sold from her farm against her wishes, and for 12 long years she's desperately wanted her back. A search that intensified over the last couple of years, most recently over the last year or so with the help and support of her husband Ricky. And over the past several months, she and he have been distributing flyers, posting pictures, advertisements, internet posts, and any other means possible, but all being unsuccessful.
We got a lead at the vet clinic of where she might be, and I started tracking the leads down, and Friday night we run across her. One of the guys in Johnson County owned her, and we went over there and seen her, and he was willing for me to have her back. So we took a trailer and brought her home. I seen her in the field. I called to her, and she come right up to me, and of course I was crying and a hugging and a loving all at the same time. And my husband Ricky which we've only been married a little over a year now, and he always said if we could find her, he'd buy her back no matter what. So I didn't even know it, and I was saying my goodbyes, thought, okay, I've seen her, she's healthy, she's good shape, and I go back to the truck, and Ricky says, well, we better hurry, we got to come back, and I said, why? He said, the guys agreed to let you have the horse back, and he said, I've told him I'd come back and pick her up in a few minutes, so it was a mad rush to get home, get her trailer, and get back in case he changed his mind, decided he wanted to keep her. So he made the deal, and he brought her back home for me.
The take home for me is we don't know everything. And I don't use ever or never very much, or 100% no. I also don't use 100% yes, or I know it's going to get better very much either. You just learn that life's got a lot of wiggle room.
She's definitely a miracle, because nobody gave her a nickel when she was born. And now, 12 years later, I got her back, and she's as sound as any horse here on this farm. We got 7, and she's just as rambunctious as any of them. Ain't she?
Turns out Summer was still papered as Summer's Grace of Glory, as she was when she was born on A&J Farm. And fortunately for Summer, and for Vavian too, she'd been well cared for by 4 different owners in various parts of Kentucky, as far away as the central part of the state.
I think, man, you can't. It's good to not lose hope, and to get so callous that, well, I just know it can't get any better. And there's a fine line. If someone's suffering and feeling, a great amount of pain, I don't know how long I'm willing to tinker around with some kind of new thing, hoping that it's going to work, because I ain't the one suffering in pain. But this foal really wasn't in pain. He just couldn't stand without assistance. And when you're young, you're so resilient. Young animals, young babies are so resilient. And I think just sometimes letting Mother Nature do her job and giving things a chance, if you will, sometimes you'll be surprised pleasantly.
Surprised is a good word. Not so pleasantly surprised at Summer's birth or her condition that she had when she was born, or at the recommendation and offers to have her put down, or the sometimes slow or near absent results in the daily hours of rehab, or at losing Summer for 12 long years, but overwhelmingly surprised on the other side of the scale at the outcome of the love invested in just seeing that Summer not become a work or a trail horse, even though she could today, but just enjoy a good quality of life. And the elated surprise when she made her way back to Bear Branch after 12 years on the road.
But I think she's glad to be home.